News with Gina.
The News with Gina Grad.
So just to give a little bit of an overview, even though we've pretty much, exhausted the subject, in case you're wondering about some of the numbers, as of Sunday, around 1,500 people were arrested over the weekend, about 100 protests all over the country. And anything that could have happened did happen. 5,000 of the National Guard troops have been activated nationwide in at least 15 states, another 2,000 standing by. Curfews enacted were one of them. Curfews, I think, are in 12 cities so far. And literally whatever you can imagine has happened over the past 4 days. Cops being sent to the hospital, cop cars being torched, cops turning their body cameras off and using excessive force on rioters, looting, rioters coming in from other neighborhoods to incite violence, cops walking with and kneeling with protesters, freeways being blocked, press being arrested. It's just, it's the entire gamut of, I hope, of what we can experience. I hope we're not in for any more surprises. I played the Atlanta mayor for you. I just thought she was really interesting. Another couple things that I don't think have gotten the media attention and I think are worth it's never going to balance everything we're seeing, but just worth throwing in there. Someone sent this to me from Portland, of course, Portland. So yes, sometimes you need to get out your non-lethal rifle and start beanbagging people, or there are times where you line up as police officers and do this, and we'll show you. This was, I believe, yesterday.
I can talk if you want to find that.
All right, I'll vamp it for you. Basically, it's a line of police officers. There's a big demonstration in the middle of a giant intersection. Everyone's coming over to look what's going on.
Took a knee.
All the cops take a knee. You can turn up the sound. All the protesters are cheering. They're coming up. They're taking a knee. There's a immediate mutual respect, immediately disarming the rioters. And it was just this really wonderful moment that maybe couldn't be pulled off in other places, but it was really heartening to see.
Very Portland-esque.
Yeah.
Keep Portland weird, cops. And
just showing we are on your side. No. We are not trying to instigate anything. There were other cities that were obviously the exact polar opposite.
All right, you can pot it down, please.
Yeah, this was heartening.
I did not see that, so good.
And on that same sort of tip, I was looking for there was two of them. I couldn't find them anymore. They were on Twitter. This is a different one, not great audio. But as we talked about before, a lot of, no pun intended, but a lot of Black Lives Matter people, or just, good-natured, I guess, protesters left sort of holding the bag as all these looters come in and just start smashing and grabbing, not really part of the protest. So there's a lot of Instagram Live and Facebook Live of them being like, look at these motherfuckers. They're not here with us. They're not part of the protest. They just bashed in a Target. We're not part of their group. We don't know who they are. So here's the one I could find. And there are many Targets because Minneapolis is sort of the hub of Target. This was a CVS, I believe. You can go ahead and play it. As people are running over to loot it. Keep it down just a little bit. People are running over to loot it. Another group gets in the way, is like, no, that's not what we're doing. That's not why we're here. They form a line of people trying to protect the building just to be like, get the fuck out of here. You're not here for the same reason we are.
Savvy.
And there were lots of these videos.
I know. They looted it 2 hours later, the same people. More flat screens for us. But I get it initially.
I didn't do my due diligence.
It was very positive. It's just later on, surveillance cameras showed the exact same
I don't want to say Target brought it on themselves, but their name is Target.
Yeah. What they think was going to happen.
Yeah.
So a couple of moments that remind you, we're not completely going up in a ball of flames all the time.
Oh yeah, there's 10 good people, or maybe 100, maybe 1,000 good people for every bad person out there. But it's like a school shooting. It doesn't take much. It just takes one fucked up 15-year-old to fuck up a lot of lives.
Yep. Yeah. And by the way, did you see, because I brought it in case you hadn't seen it, the CNN reporter that got arrested?
I didn't. I'd heard about that
I haven't.
story.
You know, the press kind of have carte blanche. You flash your press credentials and you're basically a ghost. They don't bother you. You don't bother them. They're just reporting your story. In this case, it was a guy named, I believe, Oscar Jimenez reporting for CNN. It was him, the cameraman, and a producer. There might have been 4 people.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Oscar Jimenez, I think, was in the PSA about renting apartments. Hi, I'm Graham.
No. I'm in a wheelchair.
No.
I think that
My name is Juan Hernandez.
Oh, damn it.
Hernandez. Come on.
Hello, I'm Graham Wellington.
By the way, like Thurston Howell III is going to rent an apartment off of Western
Rent
and
control.
Normandy, right?
Yes, I'm looking to have an affair, a clandestine affair at that.
Do you have yacht parking? Is it covered yacht parking? Is there a place to store my monocles and spats? It's a shitty apartment. It doesn't make sense.
Oh,
okay,
Graham.
sorry.
Yes, hello. My name is Graham Wellington.
That's right. All right,
Where do I put my
Oscar,
Duffy boat?
Yeah, I heard that he was.
They basically
arrested.
the story that they did, and I shortened it quite a lot because it's like 6 minutes long. So this is just like a minute. So basically, he said, "We're standing where they told us to stand. We're trying to stay out of their way. We're reporting live. We're out of the way." They arrest this girl that breaks the skirmish line, and I think that kind of draws all the cops' attention now to Oscar and his group. He's live on CNN, and here's what happens. A guy's holding his arm right now, a police officer.
The advanced police presence that we saw come over the course of really minutes when the local police showed up at the fire department, or with the fire department, I should say, on that building we showed you that was
Cops
burning.
being cool.
Yeah.
This is among the state patrol
Oscar's being cool.
advancing up the street.
So here's
saying,
when it.
and scattering the protesters at that point for people to clear
Is this
the area.
L.A.?
No,
So
Minnesota.
we
Oh,
walked
Minnesota.
away.
Minneapolis.
Sorry.
I'm sorry? You're under arrest. Okay. Do you mind telling me why I'm under
He's
arrest?
letting him sign off.
Why am I under arrest, sir?
He's still holding the microphone.
Oh, he does a mic drop. Okay. And he has a mask on, so you can't.
We're arresting him live on CNN. We told you before that we are with CNN.
All right.
So he gets hauled away. Then the producer, finally, of course, the cameraman is like, "Well, what do I do with this?" Puts it down. You see them all hauled away. They never got an answer as to why they were being arrested. And the governor, I believe, mayor or governor, was appalled, was apologetic. But I think at that point, the nerves were fried. They were just looking, looking for people to do
fog
something
of war
with.
kind of thing.
Fog of war.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I had on a happy note, I don't know if you guys have been seeing people around, if you've crossed paths with people that are wearing masks and then you're shamed. I'm shamed in like pulling my shirt up because I'm not wearing a fucking mask when I walk my dog.
You make the who farted mask?
Yeah, I did. I did the Shields mask, because they're passing me on the horse trail. I'm not a fucking idiot, so I'm not wearing a fucking mask when I walk my dog alone when it's 90 degrees outside. But all right, if you slaves would like to do that, then have fun with your shitty lives. I'll see you in hell. But fine, you fucking idiots do what everyone tells you to do all the time and just obey, or do whatever you want. Burn a cop car and don't wear a mask. You figure it out. That's my whole thing. Yeah. My thing is I'll be in charge of me wearing masks when I take a walk with my dog alone, and I'll be in charge of whether or not I burn a cop car.
Yeah, that'll be up to you.
I'm crazy that way. But the first instance of mask shaming the other direction happened last weekend at the Houston Improv. Now, we all have been shamed into putting the mask or pulling the shirt up or passing the person and getting the mask out and throwing the mask on. First example of a shaming where the mask had to come off.
What?
Someone was browbeaten to take off their mask?
No, but it was a shaming. I realized it. You know what I'm talking about, Max Spada?
Let me guess. I'm going to guess. This is a totally wild guess. Pulling out an ID and you can't see their whole face?
No.
Oh.
Shaming.
No.
Shaming to take the mask off.
Do tell.
So we're at the Houston Improv last weekend. We're going to do a Saturday matinee show, give the money to the Houston Food Bank. And I'm told repeatedly that the fella that's running the Houston Food Bank shall be wearing a mask.
Okay.
He will be wearing a mask. Now, Dan Crenshaw,
He has a mask of sorts.
he has one over his eye, but he doesn't have it over his mouth. I'm doing a show. I'm not wearing a mask, and the entire audience has chosen not to wear a mask. That's fine. So we're up on stage. So I'm told, I mean, you guys can tell me what your interpretation of this is, but I am told the guy who runs the food bank shall be wearing a mask. And I said, okay, it's his prerogative's fine. But it was told to me a couple of times. So we're backstage. We're in the green room. It's me and Dan Crenshaw and like one of his aide guys back there and like Mike August and Chris. And no one's wearing a mask, but the guy from the food bank is. So then Dan Crenshaw and I go up on stage and we're doing our thing for a couple of minutes. Then the owner of the Houston Improv comes out on stage. And now all three of us are maskless. The entire audience has no mask. And we're going to bring up the guy who's running the food bank. And lo and behold, the mask is gone as he comes up on stage. So I think he got peer pressured into taking the mask off, just like everyone else is getting peer pressured to put the mask on, because he was wearing it in the green room. He's holding it in his hand. He didn't say much other than thank you and this money will go to, and he spoke. That is true, but
he's holding the mask.
I think we pressured him into taking, like when everyone gets nude in the hot tub and the one chick shows up in a bra and panties. Like, come on, Tammy, why so uptight?
Don't be uptight. Did you bust his balls, or he was just observing the room when you guys are backstage?
We weren't doing anything. It was like he works at the Houston Food Bank, and he chooses to wear a mask, and everyone completely got that, and fine. I had no problem. But I think he may have got peer pressured into taking the mask off.
Wow.
I can see that.
All right.
Okay.
The first reverse pressure. But let it be known that it works both ways. When I'm pulling my shirt up, passing the chick on the trail, I'm being pressured to do it that way. He was pressured to do it the other way. All right. Sorry, Gina.
So a little bit of exciting news if you're remotely into space, especially since they had to scrap it the other day. The SpaceX capsule carrying 2 astronauts docked at the International Space Station on Sunday following this historic liftoff.
What a great, you have to think of good days to leave the Earth, right?
That's the joke going around online.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if they're going, hey, when's the rocket taking off? Right around kickoff of the Super Bowl. Like, you'd be like, what? No.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, why about we do it on Monday? Right? So literally they're getting ready to take off. There are a bunch of guys rolling dumpsters as fast as they can to ram the rocket ship, and they just blast off into outer space.
Get me off this rock. In fact, my fiance had kind of an interesting, kind of a joke, but kind of an observation. He goes, how disappointed would you be if you were a time traveler from 1969 coming to the future and saying, wait, the headline's still race riots and a guy going to outer space?
Right.
That's it? That's
perfect.
all
That's all we got.
That's all we got.
So with the test pilots, Doug Hurley and Bob Bankin, they were actually poised to take over the manual control if necessary. They did not have to. The SpaceX Dragon capsule pulled up to the station, docked automatically, no assistance needed, really did seem to go off without a hitch. The docking occurred 19 hours after they blasted off Saturday from Kennedy Space Center, the nation's first astronaut launched to orbit from the United States in nearly a decade. And just because it's so exciting to watch, here's just like 30 seconds of the blast off.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
Oh, Bob and Doug. Yeah, I saw that meme.
Oh. Very cool. And then, and it just keeps going. And another exciting thing, I couldn't find the clip of it landing. It was already landed. But unless my eyes deceive me, and I was looking at something wrong. You know how the space debris sort of just plops into the ocean? Mm-hmm. Not with Elon Musk. That shit landed on the I Still Love You, I think that was the name of the carrier, on the exact bullseye X that it was supposed to. It was crazy.
I want to see
What's funny is actually a college friend of mine, was like employee number, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something like employee number 12 at SpaceX. Like he was one of the first people hired out of college, and his job initially was the re-entry rockets, like the retro rockets that Gina's basically talking about. He's moved on to be more of an administrator, but very cool day for him. Yeah,
because we're used to just seeing this stuff just disappear into the ocean. Not anymore. And Chris, sorry to make you do the work, but it is really cool to see.
Well, that was part of original pitch was
Yeah.
the reusable stuff.
Yeah.
And I told you guys when I was down at Dan Gurney, legendary racer Dan Gurney, featured in featured in the 24-Hour War, whose son played him in Ford v Ferrari. His guys were doing some of those reusable, I don't know what to call them, but some of the biggest carbon fiber things you've ever seen in your life, like 60 feet long of just pure carbon. But again, it's a guy like, the government does it, it goes in the ocean. Elon does it, we want to reuse it again.
X marks the spot.
Yeah, he eats all the buffalo.
And this capsule is so sort of futuristic shaped, and it was really cool looking. They want to use it for, more moon stuff, possibly Mars stuff, of course, space tourism. And I think Chris found it dropping back to Earth.
That's spectacular.
Let's see if we can see it go all the way back down.
Look at that.
Hands right on.
Bullseye.
Let me see what the whole thing kind of looks like. But yeah, it's great. But
really
now
cool.
I start thinking about there's going to be space tourism, and then there's going to be space racism. Because I think that's, if I know us as a species, that's where we're heading, right?
Hashtag
we're not
space
there
race.
yet,
but
one day, God willing, we'll have space racism.
God willing.
Well, there it is. God bless Elon. What else, Gina?
Well, yes, cyber theft is one way to get screwed out of holding on to your money, but there's another way that could be a potential problem with the IRS. They're in the process of sending out about 4 million of these economic impact payments. They're these loaded up prepaid credit cards.
Right.
But the problem is a lot of people think they're junk mail and they're tossing them. So they're arriving in these plain envelopes, and it says from Network Cardholder Services. Who wouldn't toss something that said that?
Right.
And the problem is that these unsuspecting people it looks like junk mail. So these 4 million individuals who did not have direct deposit information on file with the tax agency, that's who's going to get these in the mail. The Visa name also appears on the front, and Metro Bank appears. That's the Treasury Department's financial agent. So if you don't bank with Visa and you get something that says Money Network Cardholder Services, what are the odds that you're even going to open it? So or MetaBank. So please just know that when the mail comes.
Question: much like your very prescient insight that the pill manufacturers, the opioid manufacturers, really do benefit in a way from opioid abusers, is this not like kind of a good thing for the government, whoever's cutting these checks? Like, I kind of hope 500,000 people throw these out.
Or is it like a gift card? You paid for it already anyway, so who cares if they use it or not?
It's interesting because you have to think, like, if you'd really want to prevent this from happening, what would you do? If you wanted them to throw them all out and save a ton of money, you just print, you may already be a winner with a picture of Ed McMahon on every envelope.
Right.
But that's interesting. Yeah, because you could save a lot of dough, and it's a percentage thing. X amount are going to re-up or reboot or whatever, but there's a certain amount that just aren't.
Well, and that led me to think about we talked about this. Conway brought it up, so I didn't hear Mark Cuban say this firsthand. But did you hear this theory that Mark Cuban had, this idea he had about stimulus payments, which I thought was fascinating? Basically, and I'm going to throw out a number. Say every American gets a check for $2,000 a month for 6 months, let's say. Mm-hmm. And you get it, and no questions asked, and everybody gets one. But there's one catch. You have to spend it. And if you don't spend it, like Very Brewster's Millions, if you don't spend it by the end of the month, it's just automatically taken out of your account. So it's to get...
put it back into the economy.
Exactly. You're not to hoard it. You're not to save it. It's supposed to... You're purchase.
That makes sense. I mean, Mark Cuban, guy knows what he's talking about.
I thought... I don't know a single person. I mean, of course, we all kind of want to save our pennies when we can, but I don't know a single person be like, I don't know, how the hell would I ever spend $2,000? I could think of 10 ways off the top of my head. And if someone's telling you, you must go have fun. You must, go get it.
Hey, everybody. I own the Dallas Mavericks. Hold on, let me take a swig of Just for Men. I can go to the Shark Tank, or I can make a deposit in the Spank Bank. Dirk Nowitzki, stage 5. Dirk, stage 5. All right, thanks.
No, money's yours to do with whatever you want.
As much more Cuban as I could get out.
That was really good.
All right, let's do one more.
All right. So as we talked about before, a lot of theme parks are trying to figure out how and when to open back up. Disney World, not Disneyland, Disney World's taking steps. Magic Mountain's taking steps. We talk about how basically it's going to be a theme park utopia where you're only allowed to be at 30% capacity. You have to have an app and you get right on your ride at your appointed time. Sounds fantastic. But Japan is taking it a step further. There's an amusement park there that is going to, of course, require all the stuff that everyone's going to require: social distancing, hand sanitizers, masks. They're also requesting that there is no screaming on roller coasters because there's going to be droplets, there's going to be aerosolized germs, and you need to keep your mouth zipped on Space Mountain. So many of the other items, of course, they're all going to look familiar, but they're really going to try this out. Also, they want to encourage riders to, the customer service people to make conversations short. Of course, they're going to have masks on, and they're encouraging their hosts to communicate with people, including hand gestures and smiley eyes.
Brian.
If everyone's wearing a mask, isn't the point very moot then if you're screaming on a roller coaster?
Brian, don't go against the Japanese government.
Also, they're not a real expressive culture anyway. Like if you saw one of the things that was crazy about the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas fight is that it took place in Japan, and Mike Tyson was a 50-1 favorite. 50-1 favorite, and Douglas knocked him out, and it was kind of quiet in the arena. Now, obviously, if that had been Atlantic City or Las Vegas, people would be going insane. Right. It was fairly quiet because their culture is much more quiet than ours is, so they probably got that. But I was also thinking, like, before the whole pandemic, the only people I ever saw wearing a mask at the airport were Asians. Mm-hmm. Yep. So are these people ever going to be able to take their masks off now? Because they were doubling down before the shit went down. Yeah. It's the only people I ever saw at LAX with a mask on.
Well, they have carte blanche for I told you so.
No kidding. Yeah. And I immediately, it's so funny, the second I went from, oh, Jesus Christ, don't be a hypochondriac. And then someone went, no, they wear them for other people. Yeah. And I went, I now love you.
It's a courtesy.
I apologize, and I love your culture.
That's right.
All right, let's bring it home, baby girl.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.